Good afternoon, Anita Dawn here from Cell Pilates, and we are on our 12:30 p.m. session of muscle strengthening. And today we are doing the abdominals, and I'm showing you how powerful and how functional it is using a door anchor. So this is part of our 31-day January challenge, and we're 2/3 of the way through. So congratulations if you've been doing this on a regular basis, and I'm sure you feel so much better for doing it mentally and physically. Alrighty, so there is a little video on the Facebook group telling you how to put the anchor up on the door. So you do need a door. So I'm just going to go through it briefly again. And because it's the first time, probably the first time that you've done these exercises, it's not going to be hugely challenging. I just want you to look at technique. And so we're not going to do a warm-up bit. I'm not going to use the time at that because I don't think it's really appropriate for this session. All right, so I'm just going to go through. Let me see if I can angle it. I hope you can see the door and where I have the anchor point. I actually have 2 anchor points put up. Yes, so I know some of you do have an anchor, a door anchor, and perhaps you haven't had a chance to look at the videos. So I'm going to do it briefly. I'm just going to show you briefly. So when you start, now I do use a carabiner because I clip a lot of bands into here, but I'm going to take that off. And let me see on that. Yeah. All right. So we're going to then open the door. I'm going to get rid of that one. That one will slide down. So I have the knobbly bit on the other side of the door, and I usually just pop it over from this side. And you need to hold it in place, otherwise the weight of the knobbly bit, actually that works. This one's quite light. I slide it towards the hinge side of the door and make sure I close the door. All right, so I have spoken about the door. Do watch the video. It's really important for safety. Then you just want to pull it a little bit there. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I do often work with a carabiner, and I don't want to work with a double band and loop it through on the abdominals. Yeah, we do on some of the other ones. So what we're going to do is, it might make it a little bit tight and hard to undo, but it's going to be worth it. So I want you to just loop it through a little bit, and then you're going to take the band through. So you've just got the one band. All right, so we often work with 2 bands here, and you've just got the 1 band here. So that's another reason I don't want you to pull too much on it. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to undo. All right, so just to mention that the further away we are from the anchor point, the greater the resistance and the harder you're going to work, and the closer, the easier it is. All right, so this is very much working your core as well. That's why it's so functional. Yes, so I hope you've seen part of my exercises about the chest, and I've put on Instagram today about the abdominals. I was suddenly thinking that I've already done the abdominals. Yeah, all right, so what we're going to do here, it's the same as the curl lying on your back, but that is so unfunctional, and in fact has such a negative effect when you lie on the floor and you do curls just in that forward flexion. So what we're going to do, I want you to see my foot position now. You might not see the top of the anchor. Yeah, so we're going to hold this, and you might want to wear gloves. See how you feel with the hands. I've just popped my hands, palms facing away, and I'm going to stand up tall. You could rest the hands on your head or have them just above the head. Make sure the shoulders are down. And I'm going to take the left foot slightly forward and the right foot slightly back. So I have a split stance. We want to start with no slack, no stretch on the band. Tuck your bottom under, and then we're going to draw the ribs down towards the hip bones. So I call that tightening your gyrates. So here we're doing from neutral into flexion, which it's what we do on the floor, but it's much more functional here because the band is pulling you back, and you should feel that it's pulling you back. So you have to work your core that little bit more, and that's where we want strength in the standing position. So going forward, if we then change the other leg forward, if you have a little bit more stretch on the band, this is where we can go a little bit more advanced. And I start in extension, thoracic extension, and then I go through neutral into flexion. And then more advanced, we would have the feet together, but that's a lot of work on stability, and we don't want to be leaning forward into it. Well, it's not going to kill you, but we want you kind of more in neutral on this exercise. All right, and then we're going to go on to also lateral work in the obliques as well. So it's a similar position with the hands, and I'm just going to, I could kneel down, I'm going to hold them just above the head, but we don't want to pull with the hands. I stabilize here, and I'm working through the obliques. All right, so the feet are hip bone distance apart, knees soft, and I'm just going, yeah, I'll go back a little bit here, that should be it. Okay, shoulders down away from the ears, and I'm just going to gently pull that outside rib towards the hip bones. So I've got my outside hand over the band first, then my inside hand on top, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. So if you wanted to work a little bit harder, start with that slight flexion towards the door, and then exhale, pull away. So if you pre-stretch a muscle before you contract it, you get a better work in the muscle. All right, so make sure you're not pulling with the arms. You do work the arms, but you're just stabilizing, yeah, and the movement is in the waist. Let's do that on the other side, yeah. So we're going to have the outside hand on first, and the inside hand goes on top, feet hip distance apart. And so you can start with no stretch, no slack. If you want a little bit harder, you kind of have no stretch, no slack, with the hand by the shoulder, and then we pull it over the head there. Okay, stabilize the shoulders. You're working quite hard with that shoulder stabilization. Inhale, exhale, keeping the pelvis still, nice and lengthened, and drawing those outside ribs towards the hip bones. So again, very, very functional in a standing position, and we do spend most of our moving life in an upright position, although unfortunately, a lot of people do in the chair as well. Alrighty, you might have heard the last one I'm going to show you today is the chop, and it's the equivalent when we work the abdominals. And so sometimes we do the side bend, work that way, lateral flexion, or we can go across the body. So if I go this way, so we tend lying on the floor, it's that diagonal, you have slight flexion, yeah? So just going across that, I'm sure you've done that. We might have both hands going across the body, yeah, slight flexion and rotation as well. So we call that a chop in standing. I'm going to hold it first of all with the outside hand, and I'm going to have a little bit of a reach up towards the high anchor. Feet wider than hip distance apart, tailbone length, and the pull in the tummy, and I just pull the arms a little bit to overload, yeah, the core muscles, but I must tighten those core muscles first, and then I'm drawing my ribs towards my outside hip, and the arms go along for the ride. So inhale, a little stretch there, exhale, engage, overload by just pulling, stretching the band a little bit, stabilize the arms and the shoulders, and pull down. Inhale up and exhale. So if we start off with a small range of movement, again, very, very functional in the standing position. Let's try it on the other side. Yeah, so outside hand first. Yeah, and feet wide and hip distance apart. We want a more stable stance. Yeah, engage your abs. Yeah, you need to engage your abs first, otherwise your core muscles aren't going to work. It's your superficial muscles. Yeah, they're much more lively, and they think, oh, I'm going to have a go now. All right, so think about your ribs, particularly your inside rib coming down towards your outside hip bone. Inhale up, exhale. And you're just going to hold it in that harder part, that down position. You just hold it just for a couple of seconds, and that's the same with all of these exercises, in that where you have the most resistance, the most work in the muscle. Hold it for a second and slowly release under control. Yeah. All right, so we just need to do a little bit of a stretch there. So let's lift the right arm up and over to the side and change. Beautiful. One more each side. There you go. And then we'll just loosen out through the spine. Really important, because that was kind of quite controlled movement, and it's really nice to loosen out afterwards. Yeah. Okay. So let me know what you think of that, and let me know if you have any, questions, because like a lot of things, it's not. Sometimes it can be quite difficult learning some things online, because technique's really important. But make sure that you don't have anything negative feeling any discomfort anywhere, particularly in your lower back, your neck, or your shoulders, and make sure you feel it where you're working. Okay. All right. So this evening we will be stretching out through those areas, and I will see you at 5:30. Okay. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget #replay, and do pop in sometimes and just do it with me. It'd really be brilliant. And I enjoy it so much more. I enjoy it, but it'd be really nice to work out with you guys. All right. So you guys have a good afternoon. Stay warm, but I think the sun shines out. Okay. I will see you later. Don't forget about the masterclass. Yeah, 10 o'clock. It's in the Facebook page now. The link is there, and it's not all with the anchor point. It's just some exercises that are good standing with the dumbbells, with the flexor band. So most of the work, the muscle work, will do a little bit on the floor, but not as much as I have been doing. Yeah. So when I feel that it's a waste of time and it's negative, for example, lying on the floor and doing the curls, yeah, I think that really is more negative than positive, then we will use the anchor point, because that's what it's for. It's because it takes a muscle from being a negative movement, an exercise from being negative to a positive one. Yeah. Okay. I'm off. Bye. See you later. Bye.